Hello, good afternoon class. Welcome to 14th module, English for Architecture for students on the Architecture department in Faculty of Sains and Teknologi Universitas Ngurah Rai. So this is another recorded session. I hope you enjoy the lecture for this week. This week, we will talk about adaptive reuse in architecture. What is this kind of new terms maybe for you? And we will learn about it together. First thing first, I will tell you about our learning objective for this week. We are expected to be able to define adaptive reuse in architectural context. What is it? Its definition. And second will be identify its benefits and challenges. The third will be recognize famous example worldwide and in Indonesia about reuse. And the lastly will be understand key English vocabulary related to the topic about adaptive reuse in architecture. What is adaptive reuse? Adaptive reuse is this one process of reusing again an old building for a purpose other than which is originally built or designed. So it's kind of renovation. It's kind of, in some way, it's similar to revitalization or some kind of rehabilitation in architecture. But the main thing is about it is how you shouldn't transform its facade, but changing its function. From the definition, we can synonyms it, like I mentioned before, such as repurposing, retrofitting, or building conversion. So it has a lot of synonyms. You may call it repurposing, retrofitting, or building conversion. Why adaptive reuse is important, why you should learn about it. First, because of our urban land scarcity. Scarcity means limitation. Our urban land is now limiting. There are no new urban development outside. The city is the same, the city limit is the same. But our needs on new function, our new building is increasing because of urbanization or a population increase. Second, because it has something to do with environmental sustainability issues. Using the same building for a different purpose, whatever the purpose is, the function it is, as long as it is positive, it will increase the sustainability of the environment because you are not wasting the material, you're not wasting another design, you are not wasting times to do a new building. The third is cost effectiveness. It is cheap. It is more cheap than building a new building. The lastly will be preserving historical identity. Some building may have historical identity. When you want to put a new function on it, you just simply put it there. You don't need to demolish the building. You don't need to condemn the building. You just do some kind of renovation, a little bit maybe as you need it, and then there you go, you have the building function again. So there are a lot of positively function on urban retrofitting. The benefit of it is, like I said, the environmental issue, less construction waste and reduce carbon footprint. Also, you don't demolish, you don't condemn the building. Also reduce the carbon footprint because, as you know, building materials is one of the highest carbon footprints in architecture design. Bringing the materials to the site is already having a lot of carbon footprint, and then you have to produce it also So that's another unsustainable issues you have to encounter if you're building a new building. The second benefit will be cultural. Maintain heritage and memory, as I mentioned before. Maybe some building is old, has its own history. It's worth to be preserved. And then the third will be economy, save costs compared to building new. And aesthetic also, the benefit of it is a new benefit. People nowadays like unique architectural blend of old and new, right? So sometimes building that is old is preferred by people rather than a new one. Maybe they have a history on it, nostalgic, or even it look good. Just because it look good, they may prefer old building. From this slide, we have a new vocabulary. It is carbon footprint. It means that jejak carbon. You have preservation, and then we have retrofitting. But there are challenges in adaptive reuse. The first will be structural integrity. Is it the structure is still strong enough? Because maybe the building is old, abandoned for a long time, or is being used for another function. It cannot be, you are not sure about the structure, its load, and so on. The second will be regulation issues. How about the zoning, heritage law surrounding it? Is it possible for you to do new function in a building that is protectively heritage, being considered part of the history? So it comes to the third challenges will be design limitation. You should not design too radically. So you have this kind of challenges. And then the last will be the cost of restoration. I know that I have mentioned before that adaptive reuse may be more cheaper than building new one, but for some people it may seems like it's expensive. In the term of how you will design it, mostly it should be more cheaper. From this slide, we will learn new English terms about compliance, renovation, load-bearing capacity. It has to do something with structural integrity, and renovation is adaptive reuse, and compliance means to do with regulatory issues. Bahasa Indonesianya taat. I have several case studies about adaptive reuse. I will mention several of them. The first will be Tate Modern in UK, in London. It is a building. It used to be a power station. There are a lot of power stations in UK. It now become an art museum. To change its function, to renovate it, they asked for Herzog and de Meuron architect. The key concept of this design will be industrial reuse. So as you can see in the slide, in the left is the Tate Modern before, it called Bankside Power Station, and in the right will be what it is now today. The next case study will be the High Line in New York. Before it was a elevated freight rail line, rel MRT atau kereta, and then now it's not being used again. It become an urban park. By doing so, it can revitalize surrounding the neighborhood because it become a park. So people can come there and do community gatherings, and it makes sustainable surrounding. It makes more greenery, it makes people relax, and so on. Okay, the third case study will be St. George Church in Sheffield. Before it is a church, but now St. George is one of our classroom for engineering. So the church is not being used again, as you can see from the slide, the picture, the image. That is, they still have the same structure, podium, the altar, and The university just add several of more modern bench for the students, and they can still use the church. The church is located in the middle of the university, so makes sense that since it's not being used again to do religious activities, turn it into classroom. The fourth is another example in Sheffield in here that I can take as a case study. It is St. Vincent Church. It's also a church before, as you can see on the slide. The facade is still the church, but inside of it, it's become a student accommodation. It's become where the students live. Another case study will be the Bodmin Jail in Cornwall in UK. So it used to be a jail, a prison, but now it become a hotel accommodation, place where you sleep. So before it's a jail for convict, and now people willing to pay to stay there in a former jail. The next case study is Bartholomew House in Sheffield. Used to be a hospital for tuberculosis patients, and then changed it into a faculty of law. There are classroom there, there are office of the department there, and so on, meeting rooms. They use these former hospitals for tuberculosis patients. It's the same facade, but they add some additional architecture interior to support the new function. This is another case study about adaptive reuse. It's Jessup Building. Jessup Building is also located in Sheffield in the university area. It has this unique, it has a different adaptive reuse. It has this retrofitting. So as you can see, the facade before is like this one. It's also a hospital, and then it should be in this section, it should be just like this one, but they tear it down and make a new futuristic facade building that we call the diamond. It joined together, so the buildings it meet, and then it has different architecture facade, but it makes quite good. The Jessup Building is the home of School of Music, and the diamond is the Faculty of Engineering. The eighth case study will be adaptive reuse is the Pasar or Terminal Suci Denpasar, one of the hit spots. So it's before it's the market. It's before it used to be a market and bus terminals. But nowadays, because no one riding a bus in Denpasar, so they turn it into a new market for stall, for kiosks, where the youth meet. The next case study will be Hagia Sophia in Turkey. So Hagia Sophia is this building that is being replaced. It changes function over and over depending on who is regime is being dominate Turkey at that time. Hagia Sophia before is church, and then Islam came. It turned into mosque, and then they turned it again into a church, and now it's become mosque again. So it changed its function over and over again. What about Pasar Santa in Jakarta? Pasar Santa is similar to Pasar Suci. So before it's just an ordinary market where people can buy their groceries there, but now it become a hotspot for youth to come and to try a new viral food or drink. I do have another example Kopi Nadi Heritage in Gajah Mada. It being said that Kopi Nadi Heritage is in the second floor of this building. In the first floor is still used as a stationery, and then if you go to the second floor, it been changed into a cafe. We have a lot of vocabulary bank for this module. We have adaptive reuse. It means that penggunaan ulang bangunan in Indonesia. And then the example usage of it is adaptive reuse extend the life of building. So by doing adaptive reuse, you have giving a chance to the building to extend its lifespan. And then I have mentioned several times about retrofitting. What is retrofitting? Retrofitting means pemuktahiran struktur lama. The old house was retrofitted with solar panel. The third term will be preservation. It means pelestarian. Preservation is key in heritage buildings. And lastly, it has sustainable, berkelanjutan. There are several design strategies if you want to do adaptive reuse. The first will be minimal intervention. As I mentioned before, retain original features of your building. What is the characteristic? What makes your building is different? It's retain it. Do not change a lot. Second will be insertion. Insertion means new structure within old shell. You insert a new structure. We have contrast approach, which is mean clearly distinguish old and new elements. And lastly, we have material reuse, recycle bricks, recycle woods, recycle steel. If it's still strong enough, it's still rigid enough, just use what it is in your site. So what is the difference between adaptive reuse, renovation, and restoration? Adaptive reuse means change function, new function, design intervention. So the design is minimized. And renovation means upgrading the spaces. You add a new spaces. The function usually the same. Restoration means bringing building back to original state. So restoration, maybe before restoration there are renovation. So restoration is trying to bringing the building back to its original state before the renovation. What kind of function that is suitable for adaptive reuse? So all buildings that is suitable for adaptive reuse usually are warehouse, factories, churches, train station, colonial office, and schools. So there is kind of function, the old function that can be changed. The English term will be warehouse conversion, sacred space reuse, and institutional adaptation. So this is another example of how you can add a new facade on a building, retrofittings. It's the first example will be Caixa Forum in Madrid. You can see how the old building is in below and it get along, right? It harmonized. And then we have Gasometer Vienna. Gasometer Vienna is before it's the power plant in Vienna. And now it became a complex of apartment and a shopping mall. This is Sains Mocha in Cape Town. It also, I believe it is a former factory, and now it's become an office space. What about these changes? About old post office, it become co-working spaces. So there are several functions because of our lifestyle change is being left behind. Post office is one of them. We are used to have mail being distributed. Now we use emails, right? We use text messages. So a lot of post office is abandoned, and now you can turn it into co-working spaces, for instance. Why should architecture students learn about adaptive reuse? First, because it is responding directly to sustainable design challenges. So again, sustainable terminology is come up. It's a very important. It's close to adaptive reuse. Second will be working with historical context. You will learn how to respect historic building architecture. The third will be blending creativity and technical constraints, the challenges that you have to face. Fourth will be preparing for global design competition. There are a lot of design competition around the world about adaptive reuse. And if you learn about it, if you understand the issues, the principle of it, you may have the chance to enter this kind of competition in the future. Okay, that's it about adaptive reuse, retrofitting, renovation, a little bit about it, rehabilitation. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email me or contact me via WhatsApp group. Thank you. I'll see you again next week.